Good morning, dear friend. As the soft light of dawn brushes gently against the window pane, and the world begins to stir beneath a sky slowly shedding its shadows, I want to speak to the part of you that is awake not just with open eyes, but with a longing heart. Morning is unlike any other time. It is sacred. It is silent enough for the soul to breathe. In this delicate hour, before the noise and weight of the day arrive, something in us becomes more aware of our need, of our weakness, and of the quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, today could be different. Perhaps this morning you are listening with a burden heavier than usual. Maybe you have recently faced something that shook you, an unexpected loss, betrayal you never saw coming, or a fear that crept in and stayed overnight. Perhaps you have lain awake asking questions no one seems to answer. You show up for life, smile for others, do what is expected, but deep within, there is a tiredness that rest cannot touch. You feel like you are holding yourself together with a string that might snap with the next unexpected phone call or the next closed door. You may have even whispered words into the silence of your room, hoping God was still listening if he ever was. I want you to know that you are not alone. Someone else is waking up with a similar itch, wondering if anyone sees them. But more importantly, the one who made the dawn, the one who paints the skies with light, he sees you, and he is near. This time together is more than words on a screen or sound in your ear. It is an invitation, a gentle knock on the door of your heart from a God who has not forgotten your name. You do not have to pretend here. You do not have to hide your trembling or your questions. In fact, it is because of those very things that this moment matters. Worry has a way of settling in slowly, does not it? It starts as a whisper and becomes a weight. It convinces us that everything depends on us, that we have to hold the world together or everything will fall apart. But the truth is this: we were never meant to carry what only God can. This journey you are about to begin is not about fixing everything. It is about releasing what was never yours to bear and reclaiming what has always been yours: peace, rest, and trust. Prayer is not just a ritual. It is a lifeline. It is the language of the soul reaching for the hand of the divine. It is where worry loses its voice and faith begins to rise. It is where fear is silenced by presence, not answers. And today, in these quiet morning moments, we return to that sacred space, not because we have all the right words, but because we are willing to be still long enough for God to speak. So wherever you are, on your bed, by a window, in a car parked beneath an early sky, I invite you to pause, to inhale slowly, to let the chaos settle. Open your heart, not to a performance, but to a conversation. Let the questions come. Let the tears fall if they need to. Let the silence breathe. You are not just beginning another day. You are stepping into the presence of the one who holds the day, and you in his hands. Come, dear friend. The light is rising. Let us begin. Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you this morning with a heart that feels heavy, like it is dragging behind me with every step I try to take. There is no need for fancy words or perfect posture. You see me as I am: tired, anxious, unsure. I don't know how to carry the weight I woke up with. It met me before my eyes even opened. It clung to me like a shadow that one to let go. And so here I am, at the edge of this day, needing you more than I can explain. I feel like I am standing in a valley too deep to climb out of. The walls are steep, the air is cold, and fear echoes from every direction. I know you are near because your word says you are, but I confess that I cannot feel you right now. It is not that I doubt you exist. It is that I feel lost in the noise of my own thoughts, overwhelmed by the quiet ache that nothing seems to touch, the kind of ache that wraps around the heart and makes even breathing feel like work. There are things I wish I could say with more confidence. I wish I could say that I trust you with all of me. I wish I could say that I am not afraid, but fear has settled in, and it has been loud. It tells me that things will fall apart, that I am not strong enough, that I will never see a way out. It tells me that hope is too far, that peace is for someone else. I do not want to believe those lies, but I have listened to them longer than I care to admit. I am not here to impress you with my strength. I have none left. I am here because I do not know what else to do. I am here because even in my fear, something deeper in me still believes you are the only one who understands what this valley feels like. And maybe, just maybe, you are not waiting for me to be fearless. Maybe you are just waiting for me to be honest. So this is me. Being honest. I am scared. Not of monsters in the dark or storms I can see on the horizon, but of the quiet battles that live inside me. The ones that keep me awake at night. The ones that whisper worst-case scenarios while I try to sleep. The ones that say the future is uncertain and unsafe. And yet, despite all that, I am choosing to talk to you, because even though fear is loud, there is a voice underneath it, all a quiet one, that keeps telling me to come closer. I need you to meet me here, right here in this mess. Not when I have climbed out of it. Not when I have figured it out. I need you in the middle of this confusion, in the center of the fog. My heart longs for the kind of peace that cannot be shaken by circumstances, the kind that is rooted in you and not in what I can control. I want that, but I do not know how to reach it. So I bring you what I do have. My awareness. My questions, my trembling hands. I do not ask you to take away every problem or remove every obstacle. I ask instead for the strength to breathe through this day, to make it through this hour. I ask you to hold my heart steady when the winds of fear blow hard. I ask you to remind me that even in the deepest valley, you are the God who walks beside me. Even when I do not feel it, you do not leave. Even when my voice is too weak to pray out loud, you hear the cry of my soul. Teach me to trust you here, not just when the road is smooth. Teach me to believe you are good, not only when life is good. Help me see that this valley is not my home. It is a passage. It is not forever. I want to remember that even shadows cannot exist without light somewhere nearby. Help me find that light, even if it is only a flicker for now. Let that flicker grow. Let it warm the parts of me that have gone numb from fear. Sometimes I wonder why you let fear touch us at all. Why must we walk through places that make us feel alone and small? But something in me whispers that valleys build something in us that mountaintops never could. I do not fully understand that yet, but I want to believe it. I want to believe that you are not wasting this pain, that you are writing something beautiful, even in the broken chapters. So I will keep coming back to you, even if my steps are slow. I will keep whispering your name when I can't find the words. I will keep showing up in the silence, waiting for the sound of your presence to meet me again. You do not rush me. You do not shame me for feeling weak. You just open your arms and wait until I am ready to fall into them. And maybe that is the kind of love I have been longing for all along. Thank you for being a God who does not require me to have it all together. Thank you for being near to the brokenhearted and close to the ones who are afraid. I may not have the strength to climb yet, but I am lifting my eyes, and I believe that somehow, in ways I cannot yet see, you are already moving toward me. You are already making a way through this valley. You are already whispering hope into places that have been silent too long. Let this be enough for now, just this moment, just this breath, just this prayer rising from the valley of fear. Lord, there is something fragile about this morning stillness, and yet within it, my heart finds room to breathe again. I am still in this place of need, still surrounded by questions I cannot answer, but I am learning not to run from it. I am here, and so are you. And if yesterday was about naming the fear, today is about lifting the cry that only you can hear. The one I hide from the world, the one that rises silently from a place too deep for words. The I cannot explain but cannot ignore. Sometimes I wonder how many tears are sheshed behind closed doors while the world keeps spinning. How many people, like me, smile when needed but break inside when no one is watching? How many voices stay quiet because they do not know how to speak the kind of pain that does not make sense out loud? I think about that a lot, Lord, about the invisible burdens we all carry, about how we are all just trying to get through without falling apart. And yet, you see them, every hidden H, every silent scream, every whisper that never leaves our lips. Nothing escapes your notice. You are the God who hears even what is never spoken, the cry that no one else hears you do. That truth alone brings comfort to places in me that have long been untouched, because I am tired of feeling like I have to explain myself to be understood, tired of trying to package my pain into something neat. I am learning that with you, I do not have to. There is something holy about being known so deeply, not in the polished way people expect, but in the raw, messy, unfiltered reality of what I really feel. You meet me there. Not once I have fixed it, not once I have made peace with it, but right here, right in the middle of the unrest. That is the cry I bring you today. Not the pretty prayer, not the poetic plea, but the simple, unshaped sound of longing and need. It may not have structure, but it is real. And I believe you welcome it. There is a heaviness that sits on the soul when sorrow does not have a name. I do not always know what I am grieving, just that something feels broken, something feels lost. Maybe it is trust. Maybe it is hope. Maybe it is the version of life I thought would be. And though I can go back to what was, I still do not know how to move forward from what is. But you are not asking me to figure it all out. You are asking me to come. So here I am, bringing you the cry no one else hears. I do not need you to solve me. I need you to stay near. I need you to be what no one else can be, the stillness in my storm, the steady hand when mine are shaking. When the tears come again for no reason at all, let them be reminders that I am not numb anymore. That healing is happening, even if it is slow. Let each tear be a drop of surrender, watering the soil of faith that has not died, just gone quiet. Some cries come out as weeping, others as silence, and some rise in the form of exhaustion, when the body is too worn out to even care. I have known them all. And yet, not once have you turned away. Not once have you required me to be stronger than I am. That is why I trust you with this cry. Because you are not afraid of the depth of it. You do not need me to reduce it or explain it. You just need me to release it. I imagine you gathering every sound, every exhale, every shattered piece like treasures, not because my pain is beautiful, but because I am, and to you, nothing I feel is dismissed. Nothing is too small or too deep for your love. I take comfort in knowing that even Jesus cried, that he wept, not just for the world, but in the face of personal loss, for the sorrow of others, for the weight of being misunderstood. He cried, and you heard him too. So if the Son of God could cry, then surely my tears are not shameful. Surely my sobs are sacred. I lay them before you not as weakness, but as worship. Because to cry in faith is to trust that someone is listening, that someone is near, that someone will come. I am not looking for answers today. I am looking for presence. I do not need to be told how to feel or when to move on. I just need to know that I am not crying into emptiness, that this ache is not falling into a void, and your presence tells me it is not. Even now, I feel the gentleness of your nearness, like a warm hand on my back saying, I see you, I know, and I am not going anywhere. Maybe that is all I needed, not a solution, but a nearness, not a map, but a moment of knowing I am not alone. There is a strange kind of peace in being allowed to break open in front of you, not to be fixed, but to be held, not to be rushed, but to be received. I still feel the valley beneath me. I still sense the shadows around me. But something has shifted, not the circumstance, but the space inside me. The cry that once felt like loneliness now feels like prayer. And that prayer is rising, wordless and wild, but real. Maybe the most honest prayers are the ones we do not try to tame. Maybe they are the ones that carry the most power. Not because they sound good, but because they come from truth. So this is mine, my truth in the form of a cry. I do not always understand it. I do not always know where it comes from, but I bring it to you because I know you are safe. You are safe enough to hold what I cannot name, safe enough to enter the places I do not take anyone else. You are the God who sees in secret and still stays. Let this cry rise like incense, not because it is eloquent, but because it is mine. Let it reach you as only a child's cry can reach a parent's heart. With urgency, with rawness, with the unspoken trust that someone will come running. Someone will answer. Someone will hold me until the storm passes. I will stay here for now, in this quiet surrender. Not trying to prove anything. I will just let the cry keep rising, believing you are near enough to hear even the sound I do not make. God, if you truly hear the cry, then why does it still feel so quiet? Why does the silence linger long after the prayer has been poured out? I do not ask this with anger, but with aching honesty. I am still here, still whispering in the early light, but the space between my asking and your answering feels unbearably wide. I know you are holy, eternal, wise beyond measure. And yet, right now, you feel far, not absent, just quiet. And the quiet can feel like distance when the heart is fragile. I want to believe you are close, that you are moving even when I do not see. But I confess that something inside me wonders if you have turned your face away. I know the stories. I have read about your faithfulness, about seas that split and walls that fall and dead things brought back to life. I have even seen your hand in my own life before, in moments I still hold as proof that you are good. But today, that memory feels faded, like trying to hold on to a dream long after waking. I am trying to remember, but the present pain keeps drowning out the past miracles. This morning I woke up hoping I would feel something different. Some whisper of comfort, some hint that you are near, but the silence was loud again, and all I could do was sit in it. I do not want to pretend with you. I do not want to pray as if I do not wrestle. The truth is, I am not even sure how to talk to you right now. I feel like I am calling into a fog, and the only echo is my own voice. And yet, something keeps pulling me back here, back to this place of communion, even when it feels one-sided. There is a kind of loneliness that does not come from being alone, but from feeling unknown by the one who is supposed to know it all. That is what I wrestle with, not whether you exist, but whether you see me here, whether you care about the chaos that lives inside me. I believe you do, but belief and feeling are not always the same. And right now, they are not walking together. One is ahead, the other limping behind. I do not want this to be a performance. I want it to be real. And what is real right now is this. I feel abandoned by hope, not because you are unfaithful, but because waiting has worn me down. There comes a point when waiting feels less like patience and more like being forgotten. I know that is not who you are. I know you are the shepherd who leaves the 99. But today, I feel like the one sheep still lost in the cold. Still calling, still waiting for the sound of your footsteps. Even David, the man after your own heart, cried out asking why you were so far. If he could ask it, maybe I can too, not as accusation, but as childlike longing. 'Cause if I did not believe you were good, I would not be asking at all. I would have walked away by now, but I have not. I am still here. Still reaching. Still hoping that somewhere behind this stillness is a Father who is already on the way. I know there are reasons beyond what I can see, that your silence is not absence, and your delays are not denials, but the H remains. And I bring it to you not to demand an explanation, but to lay it down, to say that I trust you even when I can trace you, to say that this waiting will not make me turn away, even if the silence lasts longer than I would like. I will keep choosing you, not because I understand, but because something in me knows you are still worthy. Sometimes I wish I could see what you see. See the bigger picture, the threads you are weaving together that my eyes cannot comprehend. But then again, if I saw it all, I might never learn to trust you in the dark. Maybe that is what this is about. Not punishment, not neglect, but invitation, a deeper trust, a trust that does not need to feel to know, a trust that believes you are still writing the story when the page seems blank. Help me hold on, not just to the idea of you, but to you yourself, to your character, to your kindness, to the truth that you are Emmanuel, God with us even when you seem hidden. I do not want to let my questions become a wedge. I want them to become a doorway, a reason to draw closer. If you are quiet, help me be still enough to hear the whisper I have been missing. If you are hidden, help me keep looking not to solve you, but to find you. Sometimes it is not the storms that shake us most, but the long stretches of silence, the days when nothing changes, when prayers seem unanswered, when hope runs thin. But I want to believe that even then, you are preparing something, that you are closer than I think, that you are the God who bends low to listen, even when your reply is delayed. So I will keep asking, not because I demand, but because I believe you welcome the sound of my voice. I will keep knocking, not to force open a door, but because I trust that behind it is a Father who knows exactly when to open it. I will keep seeking, not to prove my faith, but because you are still the treasure my heart longs for, even in the shadows. I do not need every answer today. I just need a glimpse, a reminder, a moment where the veil lifts and I sense that you are near. I know you do not always work in thunder or flame. Sometimes you come in the gentle wind. So let me be quiet enough to notice. Let me recognize you in the small, the still, the slow. And if you do not speak today, I will still believe. If you do not move the mountain yet, I will still wait. If the silence lingers, I will sit with it, trusting that even silence is sacred when it is shared with you. Because I would rather be in the quiet with you than in noise without you. So here I am, still searching, still hoping, still holding on. I may not hear you yet, but I believe you hear me. And that is enough for now. Father, the silence has not broken, but something in me has, not in a way that leaves me shattered, but in a way that reveals how much I have been carrying. As I continue to sit with you in this early light, I realize that even when I am not speaking, my soul is groaning beneath the pressure. Worry has become like a second skin so familiar I did not even notice how tightly it clung to me. But now that I have slowed down enough to feel it, I can unsee the toll it has taken. This weight is not just emotional. It lives in my body too, in the tension that never leaves my shoulders, in the way my breath shortens without me noticing, in the constant hum beneath the surface, like an alarm that never fully turns off. I carry it through every conversation, every decision, every quiet moment where fear fills in the blanks. And though I keep moving, pretending I am fine, something in me is always bracing for bad news, for disappointment, for the next thing to go wrong. I do not think I ever chose worry. I think it chose me, or maybe it grew quietly inside places that were not safe. Somewhere along the way, it convinced me that if I did not worry, I was not being responsible, that if I let go, everything would fall apart. It felt like protection. It felt like control, but now I see it for what it is: a thief. A subtle, relentless thief that steals my peace, my focus, my joy. And the worst part is that I let it stay. I made room for it in my thoughts because I believed it was helping. But it is not helping. It is hurting. It is wearing me down. And you see that, do not you? You see how exhausted I have become trying to hold everything together. You see how I overthink every decision, replay every mistake, predict every possible outcome. You see the invisible calculations I make in my mind to try and keep life from breaking again. And still, things break. Still, things go wrong. Still, I end up back here, realizing once more that control was never mine to begin with. So I want to let go. I want to release this burden, but I do not always know how. Worry has become a reflex. I pick it up without even thinking. Even when I try to trust you, it slips back in, whispering what ifs and worst-case scenarios. It is hard to retrain a mind that has been shaped by fear. But I believe you are patient. I believe you walk with me, not in frustration, but in compassion. You understand how deep the roots go, and you never shame me for struggling. I have read the words before cast your cares on you, for you care for me, but I never knew how to truly cast them. I always ended up placing them down and picking them back up moments later. Maybe it is not about one grand release, but about choosing again and again to trust you in this moment, to give you the fear I feel now, to surrender the worry that rises today. Maybe trust is not a switch I flip, but a habit I practice in your presence. I want that habit to form. I want the rhythm of my mornings to sound less like panic and more like peace. I want my default to become dependence, not anxiety. I want to reach a place where the weight of what I do not know does not crush me, because I remember who does know, and not only knows, but holds, provides, protects, restores. You are not surprised by anything that shakes me. You are not overwhelmed by what overwhelms me. You remain, and that truth steadies me, even as worry tries to claw its way back in. I do not have to entertain every fearful thought. I do not have to believe every anxious story my mind tells. I can stop right here and choose something better. I can choose to breathe deeply, to fix my eyes on you, to name the worry and hand it to the one who is strong enough to carry it. Even if I have to do it 100 times a day, I will keep laying it down. Help me see when I am carrying what you never asked me to hold. Help me notice the weight before it crushes me. Teach me how to pause before panic sets in. Remind me that I was not created to live clenched and guarded. I was created to live free and rooted in grace. I am learning, slowly, that peace is not found in having all the answers, but in trusting the one who does. I used to think worry was a sign I cared, but now I see it more clearly. Worry is not care, it is fear pretending to be love. And love does not come with torment. Love trusts. Love releases. Love breathes. So if I want to live in love your love, then I must release what was never mine to control. I must let go of the illusion that my worry will save me. It never has. It never will. Only you can. So in this moment, I offer you the weight. I name it. I lift it up. The fears about my future, the ache for what I cannot fix, the loop of thoughts I replay trying to change the past, the pressures that crush me in silence. I offer you my clenched fists and ask that you help me open them. Not once, but every time they curl back in. Help me build a new reflex, one that turns to you instead of turning inward. I know this one be easy, but I do not need easy. I just need you. I do not need the path to be simple. I just need your presence to be steady. I will walk this road slowly, intentionally, choosing trust with trembling steps. And maybe, with time, trust will grow roots deeper than fear ever did. Maybe this weight I have carried will become a memory, a testimony of how you lifted what I thought I would always bear. I want to be lighter. I want to move through today with a heart unburdened. I want to hear the birds and not miss them because I am lost in my head. I want to notice the sunlight without dreading the shadows. I want to laugh again without guilt, breathe without tension, love without fear. I want to live, not just survive. And I believe you want that for me too. Not a life free of struggle, but a life anchored in something stronger than worry, anchored in you. So help me release the weight. Help me stop fighting battles that are not mine to fight. Teach me how to trust you with the details, with the unknowns, with the pieces I do not understand. Today, I choose surrender over strain, trust over tension, presence over panic. Let that choice change me from the inside out. Let it mark the way I move, speak, love, and breathe. Let it remind me that I am not alone in the letting go. You are with me, even here. Especially here, Lord. Even as I try to loosen my grip, I notice how quickly my hands reach again for what I have laid down. I want to trust you with all that is uncertain, but there is a part of me that still believes if I stop holding everything together, it will all fall apart. I call it caution. I call it planning. I call it being responsible. But when I am honest with myself, I see that much of what I call responsibility is really fear dressed in purpose. I have learned to wrap my anxiety in noble words. I say I am thinking ahead. I say I am being wise. But deep down, I am afraid. Afraid to be caught unprepared. Afraid to lose control. Afraid that if I do not do enough, everything I care about will slip through my fingers. I have made fear sound like duty and overthinking sound like discipline. But you see through all of it. You always have. You are not asking me to stop caring. You are not telling me to be passive or careless. You are showing me there is a better way to carry concern, one that does not crush my soul in the process. Because what I have been doing is not sustainable. What I have been doing wears me thin. And more than that, it makes me forget who is really in control. I begin to believe that outcomes depend entirely on me. That your presence is more like background support than sovereign strength. But that is not who you are. You are not just a silent witness to my efforts. You are the one who sees the end from the beginning, who weaves the details of my life into something greater than I could ever orchestrate. You are not waiting for me to prove myself before you intervene. You are already moving, already surrounding, already working in ways I cannot see. And yet, I carry myself like the whole world rests on my shoulders. Father, help me separate fear from responsibility. Help me know the difference between acting in wisdom and acting from panic. You gave me a mind to plan, but not to torment. You gave me discernment, not to control, but to listen. I want to be faithful in what you have entrusted me with, but I do not want to cross the line into self-reliance. I do not want to mistake sleepless nights for devotion or anxiety for care. When I replay every decision over and over, remind me that you are not limited by my past. When I try to plan 10 steps ahead because I am afraid of making the wrong move, remind me that you guide one step at a time. When I take on burdens that are too heavy, convince myself that I must be everything to everyone. Remind me that I am not their savior. You are. Even in the small things, fear creeps in. When I check and recheck what I have already done, when I avoid stillness because silence reminds me I am not in control, when I say yes out of guilt and no out of fear, teach me what it looks like to move with you instead of racing ahead or dragging behind. Teach me how to trust without needing all the pieces to make sense. There are so many voices that applaud worry. They say the more you care, the more you worry, the more you love, the more you stress. But I do not want that to be true of me. I want to love from a place of rest, not tension. I want to care deeply without losing myself in the weight of it. I want to work diligently without sacrificing my peace. I want to serve with excellence without needing control to feel safe. Sometimes I wonder if I have made fear feel noble, if I have mistaken unrest for humility, or tension for dedication. But you did not create me for a life of constant striving. You did not call me into a story where my worth is measured by how much I carry or how little I sleep. You call me beloved. You invite me to walk with you, not run ahead. You ask for surrender, not perfection. So here I am again, naming the fears I have cloaked in responsibility. The fear of letting people down. The fear of missing a step. The fear of not being enough. The fear of failure. The fear of regret. The fear of slowing down and discovering I have built a life around things you never asked me to carry. I bring them to you one by one, asking not just for relief, but for reformation. Change the way I think. Change the way I respond. Teach me to lead without controlling, to protect without panicking, to plan with open hands, to live with wisdom rooted in peace, not paranoia. Let discernment rise from your spirit, not from my insecurity. Let responsibility reflect faith, not fear. Let my life show that trust is not laziness but dependence, that surrender is not weakness but strength. I am learning that trusting you does not mean neglecting my part. It means remembering that my part has boundaries, that I am not the glue holding everything together, that I was never designed to know it all, handle it all, or fix it all. When I reach my limit, it is not failure. It is a reminder of where I end and where you begin. Help me to rest without guilt. Help me to release the need to be constantly vigilant. Help me to believe that things can be okay even when I am not in control of every detail. Remind me that responsibility does not require anxiety, that faithfulness does not require fear, that obedience can exist without obsession. Let me find joy again in the things I used to dread because they felt like pressure. Let me rediscover the peace of small moments without needing to multitask every second. Let my mind quiet in your presence. Let me laugh without the echo of worry. Let me sleep without the weight of tomorrow on my chest. Let me live again from the inside out, free and anchored in grace. God, I do not want fear to be the motivator behind my actions anymore. I do not want anxiety to be the engine that drives my choices. I want to be moved by peace, by trust, by love. I want my life to look like someone who walks with you, not someone trying to do it all alone. So strip away the fear that has worn the mask of duty. Reveal what is truly from you and what I have picked up along the way. If I must carry anything today, let it be light. Let it be what you have asked for, nothing more. Let it be wrapped in grace and not in pressure. Let it come from a heart that knows you are for me and with me and ahead of me. And if I forget again, if I slip back into striving, draw me back. Remind me gently that you are not impressed by my exhaustion, but moved by my trust. Let every breath today be a choice to trust instead of control. Let every decision be shaped by peace, not panic. Let me live responsibly with joy, not fear. Father, as I slow my breathing again this morning and place my heart in your hands, I realize how quickly I forget. I forget who you have been. I forget what you have done. I forget the moments when your presence was so real, so undeniable, that my fears fell silent. It is not that you have changed, it is that I have allowed time, pressure, and uncertainty to blur the memories of your faithfulness. But I want to remember. I need to remember, because my faith cannot survive without memory. Yesterday, I asked you to help me carry only what you have given. Today, I ask you to help me look back not to relive pain, but to retrace the steps where you showed up again and again. Help me remember the times when everything seemed lost, and yet, somehow, you made a way. Not always the way I imagined, but always the way I needed. Sometimes it was quiet provision. Sometimes it was a breakthrough I never saw coming. Sometimes it was simply the strength to stand through the storm. You know how my mind wanders toward the unknown, how easily I get tangled in what is ahead. But if I could just pause and look behind for a moment, I would see the evidence. The path is marked with your fingerprints. You were there when I could not see past the grief. You were there when I was drowning in regret. You were there when I thought the waiting would never end. You were there when I whispered the same prayer for the 100th time and thought it had fallen into silence. And yet, your answer came. There was a time when I was certain nothing could get better, and yet it did. There was a day when I believed healing was out of reach, and yet I am healing. There were nights when fear sat heavy on my chest. And still, I woke up to see another morning. I did not carry myself through those moments. You did. And now I see that forgetting what you have done is one of the most dangerous things I can allow. Because when I forget your past faithfulness, I lose sight of your present power. God, remind me of the Red Sea moments, the ones where you parted the impossible. The moments where the way forward was blocked and my heart was full of fear. But you stepped in with something I could not have made happen on my own. I need to remember those miracles, not because I am chasing signs, but because they anchor my faith in who you are. You are not just a distant God of old stories. You are the same yesterday, today, and always. If you rescued then, you will rescue now. Sometimes I wonder how quickly the Israelites forgot too. After seeing plagues and provision, after walking through walls of water, they still doubted, they still feared. They still asked if you had brought them into the wilderness to die. And when I read their story, I see my own heart mirrored there. How easily I forget when the pressure rises. How quickly I doubt when the outcome looks uncertain. But you never shamed them for needing reminders, and you do not shame me either. So today, I choose to remember. I choose to bring to mind the moments of breakthrough, even the small ones, the call that came when I felt most alone, the words spoken at just the right time, the peace that made no sense but filled the room. Those were you. They were not coincidences or luck. They were kindness. They were mercy. They were you saying, I see you, and I have not forgotten. Let remembrance become my weapon when doubt starts whispering. Let it be my shelter when fear tries to take over again. Let it calm my racing thoughts and steady my steps. If I can remember what you have done, I can trust you with what is next. If I can trace your goodness in my story so far, I can hand you the chapters still unwritten. And not just in my life, Lord. Let me see the stories in others to their Red Sea moments, their miracles, their testimonies. Let their stories fuel my hope when mine feels small. Let their joy remind me that you are still in the business of restoration, that you are still rewriting endings, still healing what looks too broken, still surprising us with your perfect timing. I know that faith does not mean forgetting fear exists. It means remembering you are greater. Faith is not about denying the storm. It is about trusting the one who has already walked on water. And when my legs feel too weak to stand, I can still lean on what you have already done. Because my faith is not built on what I hope will happen. It is built on what you have already proven to be true. So when the thoughts come fast and anxious, when the lies return and say you won, show up this time, remind me of the river you parted. Remind me of the provision that came in the 11th hour. Remind me of the healing I did not expect, of the peace that covered me like a blanket when I was falling apart, Those were not stories from long ago. They were mine. They still are. Help me write them down. Remember them. Speak them out loud. Let them become stones of remembrance, like the ones Joshua told the Israelites to gather. Let each one mark a place where you were faithful, a place where you proved your power, a place where I knew you were near. And when I forget again, I will lead me back to those stones. Let them tell me the truth when fear tries to rewrite the narrative. This is how I will fight the worry, not with empty mantras or forced positivity, but with sacred memory, with testimony, with the quiet boldness of someone who has seen you move and refuses to believe you have stopped. This is how I will face what is ahead, by standing on what you have already done, not to dwell in the past, but to draw strength for the future. You are the God who split seas, who rained manna, who shut the mouths of lions. And you are also the God who answered my prayer last year, who provided when I had nothing, who spoke when I was lost, who stayed when others walked away. You are not just capable, you are willing. And I want to live like I believe that again. Let this be the day I remember. Let this be the hour I choose trust over panic, testimony over fear. Let this be the moment I stop asking if you will come through, and start remembering that you always have. And if I must walk forward without all the answers, I will do so holding on to every moment that points to your goodness. I will walk not blindly, but with a memory that sees, a memory that believes, a memory that lifts my eyes when the way ahead feels uncertain. Today I remember, and in remembering, I rise. Father, remembering what you have done gives me breath again. It lifts the weight of uncertainty, just enough for hope to slip through the cracks. And now that I have recalled the Red Seas you parted, I am beginning to believe that maybe it does not take monumental faith to see you move. Maybe it does not take perfection or spiritual strength I have not yet found. Maybe, even now, even in this fragile state of mine, I have enough. Because you never asked for greatness. You asked for something small. Something honest. You asked for a seed. That comforts me, Lord, more than I can say. Because sometimes I look around and wonder if my faith is enough. I compare it to others, to the boldness they seem to carry, the confidence in their prayers, the steadiness in their storms. And then I look at mine quiet, unsure, trembling, and I wonder if it matters. But you told us that faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. You did not demand a forest of belief. You simply asked for something alive. Something real. So today I offer you what I have. It may not look like much. It may not roar or shine, but it is growing. It is here. And I bring it to you not with pride, but with trust that you can do with it more than I ever could. I bring you this seed of belief, still wrapped in questions, still scared by past disappointments. And I ask you to plant it deep within me. Water it. Guard it. Let it take root in the places where fear once reigned. It is hard sometimes to believe in what I cannot see, to pray when the answer feels far, to stand when the ground feels unstable. But something in me keeps reaching, keeps hoping, keeps whispering your name in the quiet. That has to mean something. That has to count. Because faith is not just the bold declaration. It is the daily decision. The choice to trust again this morning. Even when yesterday was hard. The choice to believe in your goodness. Even when I feel nothing. The choice to keep coming to you. Even when I do not have the words. There are days when my faith feels like a flicker, just enough to light a corner of my soul, but not enough to see the road ahead. And yet, you do not extinguish the flicker. You protect it. You see it as beautiful. You breathe on it. You build with it. You never despise the small beginnings. You welcome them. You take our weakness and weave strength into it. You take our barely and turn it into abundance. So when I feel too small, remind me that you are not asking for big. You are asking for real. You are asking for now. You are asking for surrender. Not spectacle. And surrender, even in its smallest form, is enough for you to begin something holy. I look at the mustard seed and marvel. So tiny. Almost forgettable. And yet packed with potential, buried in dark soil, surrounded by silence. It begins to push toward the light. It does not need applause. It just needs time. And maybe that is what you are doing in me. A quiet beginning, a seed taking root. I want to stop waiting until I feel ready to believe. I want to stop disqualifying myself based on how strong or steady I think I am. I want to bring you the raw, the small, the barely there kind of faith. Because that is where your power shines brightest. That is where grace rushes in, not when I have it all figured out, but when I am honest about the fact that I do not. You never asked me to have perfect faith. You just asked me to give you what I have. God, take this seed and make it more. Let it stretch into every corner of my doubt. Let it push past the rocks of fear and disappointment. Let it find its way through the hardened soil of my defenses. Let it grow where nothing has grown for a long time. I know it 1 TB instant. I know seeds do not bloom in a day. But I trust that even when I see nothing, something is happening beneath the surface. And I will wait for it. I will wait for the day when what once felt small becomes the shelter that others lean on too. Help me celebrate the small things, the quiet progress, the moments when I chose trust instead of control, the prayers I whispered instead of the panic I usually feed. Help me see that every time I speak your name through trembling lips, something sacred is happening. A seed is stretching, a root is forming, a leaf is rising, and faith is growing not loud, not flashy, but real. Let this seed grow into courage, not the kind that roars, but the kind that stands, the kind that shows up again and again, the kind that chooses peace when fear is easier, the kind that does not need to prove itself, only to keep pressing forward. I want that kind of courage not born of force, but of quiet confidence in who you are. Teach me to trust the process, to believe that even slow growth is good growth, that even when nothing looks different on the outside, your spirit is doing something deep within. That even when I feel stuck, I am not, because seeds do not sprout above ground first. They take root, they go deep, They reach down before they reach up. And if you are rooting me, then I am not stuck. I am being prepared. Let this truth settle in my soul that my faith does not have to look like anyone else's. It does not have to be loud. It just has to be alive. And as long as it is alive, you can use it. You can grow it. You can multiply it. You can make it into something beautiful. So I release the pressure to perform. I release the need to compare. I release the fear that what I have is not enough. Because with you, even the smallest offering becomes sacred. This seed is not the end. It is the beginning. A beginning I welcome. A beginning I choose. Again today, with open hands, I plant it not in certainty, but in surrender, not in pride, but in dependence. And that is enough, because you are enough, and in you, everything small begins to grow. Lord, it is strange how a tiny seed of faith can begin to change how I see everything around me. I find myself looking at the same life, the same circumstances, the same unknowns, but something is different. I am starting to see not just with my eyes, but with something deeper, something you are awakening within me. It is not clarity in the way I hoped, not the answers I asked for, but a quiet trust that is beginning to rise through the cracks. And with that trust comes the challenge of walking a path I cannot fully see. You know how hard that is for me. You know I crave direction. Crave certainty. Crave to know what is next so I can prepare, protect, and control. But the kind of trust you call me to is not rooted in knowing. It is rooted in believing. Believing that you go before me even when I can feel your footsteps. Believing that the road I walk, though shadowed, is still held in your hands. Believing that just because I can see the outcome does not mean you are not already working toward it. So here I am again, offering you the fragile parts of me that still wrestle with the unknown. I still wonder if I will have enough, if I will make the right choices, if I will end up where I am supposed to be. And in the middle of all that wondering, you whisper to me that I am not walking alone, that you are not just beside me, but ahead of me, that every step I take into the fog is a step you have already lit with your presence. That does not mean it is easy. The unseen path is where my fears get loud. It is where I imagine every worst-case scenario. It is where I try to fill in the blanks with my own reasoning, even though it often leads me to more anxiety than peace. But even in that chaos, you remain steady. You are not shaken by my fear. You are not surprised by my questions. You simply invite me to take one more step, just one, and trust that you will be there. There is a part of me that wants to run ahead, to rush past the uncertainty, to reach a place where things feel secure again. But maybe security is not found in knowing. Maybe it is found in surrender. Maybe it is not about the destination, but about the kind of faith that is formed in the journey itself. The kind of trust that is not dependent on visible progress, but on the invisible assurance that you are leading me with love. Sometimes, Lord, I wish you would show me more. I wish you would draw the whole map so I would know where this road leads. But then I remember how often I have made maps of my own, only to end up lost. and how every time I laid my own plans, you patiently waited for me to return, not with shame, but with welcome, not with punishment, but with peace. Because you are not interested in control. You are interested in closeness. You want me to walk with you, not just towards something. So I am learning, step by uncertain step, to let go of my need for answers. I am learning to lean not on my understanding, but on your character. Because what I can predict, you already hold. What I can figure out, you already know. And what I can fix, you have already begun to redeem. There is deep rest in that truth, even when the road feels rocky beneath my feet. Help me notice the small signs of your presence today. A gentle word, moment of calm, a sudden warmth in my chest that reminds me I am not abandoned. Help me stop looking for grand gestures and instead look for the quiet evidences of your care. Like how the sun rises without asking for applause. Like how the wind moves without needing to be seen. Like how love shows up not always with trumpets, but often with tenderness. Let my soul learn the rhythm of trust, not rushing ahead, not dragging behind, but walking with you step by step, breath by breath. Let me find peace in the process, even when I feel far from the outcome. Let me trust that there is growth even when I see none, that there is progress even when the road curves, that there is purpose even in the pause. And when I grow tired of the waiting, remind me that you are never weary of walking beside me. You do not get frustrated by how slowly I move. You do not lose patience when I stumble. You simply hold out your hand again and say, "Let us keep going." I want to respond to that invitation. Lord, I want to say yes again today. Not because I have it all together, but because I know you do. Build in me a faith that is not shaken by shadows, a trust that does not falter when the sky grows dim, a courage that does not need to know the entire path to take the next step. Remind me that my peace does not come from understanding, but from your presence. That walking with you is the safest place I can be, even when the road makes no sense. There are moments when fear will whisper lies telling me I am lost, I am alone, I have missed something. But in those moments, help me cling to the deeper truth that you are the God who finds, the God who stays, the God who gently redirects. Let that truth drown out the noise of fear. Let it anchor me when the path seems to disappear. Lord, I place this day in your hands, not because I know where it will lead, but because I trust the one who leads it. And even if I walk slowly, even if I feel uncertain, even if I do not have answers, I will walk, I will trust, I will move forward, because every step taken with you is a step worth taking. So walk with me, Lord. Guide me gently. Speak to me in the quiet. And even when I cannot see the road ahead, help me to believe that it is still good because you are good. And your goodness does not depend how much I understand, but how much I lean into you. God, if trust is the road beneath my feet, then memory is the lantern in my hand. And this morning, as I sit in the quiet once more, I realize how often I forget what you have already done, how quickly I allow today's mountains to block the view of all the valleys you have led me through. But if I pause long enough, if I sit still and close my eyes, I can recall those moments, those undeniable touches of mercy that carried me when I thought I was sinking. You were there when I ran out of strength, and somehow the day still moved forward. You were there when my heart shattered, and I thought I would never smile again, but laughter returned, slowly and softly, like sunlight creeping through the cracks of a broken wall. You were there in the waiting, in the pain, in the loneliness, and not one of those moments escaped your eyes. You were not just present, you were active. You were weaving grace into my grief, hope into my hollowness. I do not always recognize it when I am in the middle of it. Sometimes it is only in hindsight that I see your hand, subtle but steady. But now, as I look back, I can see patterns of rescue. I can trace the thread of your compassion even through the messiest parts of my life. And I am learning that those memories are not just nostalgia. They are anchors. They are the reminders that what you did once, you can do again. That the same God who brought me through before is the same God I cry out to now. So today, I lean on remembrance. I lean on the way you softened hearts that once seemed stone, on the way you opened doors I never even knew to knock on the way you healed parts of me I did not even know were broken. You were working in secret while I was panicking in public. You were calming storms in the spiritual realm while I was overwhelmed by what I saw with my eyes. Lord, help me remember that you are still that same God, that time has not dulled your power or love, that your miracles were not a one-time act, but a rhythm of how you move in the lives of those who look to you. When fear creeps in again, when I start to forget, gently bring those memories back to me. Let the past become a testimony, not a trap. Let it fuel my faith, not feed my doubt. Sometimes I remember the pain more clearly than the deliverance. But even in that, you are kind. You use pain as a canvas and paint stories of redemption across it. You take what was once unbearable and, with time, allow it to become a source of wisdom, of empathy, of courage. And somehow, even the scars start to feel sacred because they remind me that I lived, that I endured, and that you were with me. Even now, I can recall the moment I thought all was lost, only to find a way made where there was none, the day I wept in silence, only to feel an unexplainable peace descend like a whisper into my chest. The conversation that came at the exact right moment, the kindness of a stranger that felt like a divine appointment. These were not coincidences. They were reminders, breadcrumbs of your love left along the trail of my life. Help me gather those memories like stones of remembrance, just like your people did in ancient times. Help me build altars in my heart, places I can return to in prayer, not to dwell in the past, but to find strength for today. Let each memory of mercy be a reason to believe again. Let each breakthrough remind me that you are not finished writing my story. Even when I doubt, you remain. Even when I waver, you hold me. Even when I forget, you remind me with such gentleness. You are not a God who scolds my forgetfulness, but one who patiently reteaches me how to see. You whisper through my memories, remember who I have been to you. And in that remembrance, my heart softens. My grip on fear loosens. My hope begins to rise. God, there is power in remembering, Power to face this morning not with dread, but with confidence. Not because I know what this day holds, but because I know who held me yesterday. And if you were faithful then, you will be faithful now. That truth settles my soul in ways no words ever could. That truth is what helps me breathe when anxiety clutches my chest. Today, I choose to remember instead of rehearse my worries. I choose to recall your goodness instead of recite my fears. I choose to speak the stories of your past faithfulness over this present uncertainty. And as I do, something shifts. The weight on my shoulders begins to lift. The tension in my body begins to ease. Because I know that you are not distant history, but living presence. So when I feel overwhelmed, remind me of the time I felt that way before and survived. When I feel stuck, remind me of the doors you opened when all I saw were walls. When I feel alone, remind me of the comfort that came unannounced. Like a blanket over my soul. When I feel weak, remind me that I have been carried and I can be carried again. Father, let the tapestry of my life become a gallery of your grace. Let it display not my strength, but yours. Let it showcase not my perfect path, but your perfect presence along the way. And when I look at what you have done, let my heart rise in quiet confidence, not in myself, but in you, because you never change. And that means I can face today, not just with faith, but with memory-fueled courage, because I have seen you before, and I will see you again. And until then, I will remember. Father, as I carry the memories of your past mercies close to my heart, I now find myself facing a quieter challenge. The silence, that sacred stillness where you seem hidden, where no answer comes quickly, and where the noise inside my mind grows louder than your voice. But even here, I choose to trust you, because silence does not mean absence. Stillness does not mean abandonment. And in the hush of morning, I lean in, believing you are nearer than my breath, even when I do not hear you. Sometimes, I long for thunder-loud affirmations of your presence, unmistakable signs that you are at work. But instead, I find myself in rooms of waiting, where prayers echo back to me unanswered, and the air feels thick with uncertainty. And yet, something deep inside whispers that even this quiet space holds divine purpose. That silence is not punishment, but invitation. An invitation to sit still with you, to learn how to hear you without noise, to know you without spectacle. Lord, it is here, in this silence, that trust is most tested. Not when everything is going wrong and I can cry out, but when nothing is moving and I wonder if you are still listening. It is in this space that faith matures, not faith in what you do, but faith in who you are. And who you are has never changed. You are still good. You are still near. You are still God, even in the quiet. So I lay down my demand for immediate answers. I surrender the urge to force clarity. I let go of the need to feel constant affirmation. And instead, I ask for the grace to wait well, to sit beside you in the stillness and believe you are shaping something deeper in me than noise can ever reveal. To believe that silence is not the end of the conversation, but a different kind of language, one that teaches me to listen with my soul, not just my ears. You have shown me before that the most beautiful revelations come not in the storms, but in the still, small voice, the whisper in the cave, the breath that steadies a trembling heart. So help me lean into that whisper, even when it feels faint. Help me stay when I want to run. Help me worship even when I do not understand. Because trust is not built in the blaze of glory, but in the quiet fidelity of daily surrender. Sometimes, the silence stretches longer than I expected. Days bleed into nights with no sign, no shift, no word. But even then, let my hope not be shaken. Let it stand firm like a candle burning low but steady. Let my heart not assume you have turned away. Let me remember that even in silence, seeds are growing underground. That something sacred is always unfolding beneath what I can see. If you are silent, then perhaps you are speaking in ways I have yet to understand. Maybe you are teaching me to see you in the ordinary, to find you in the unnoticed, to love you for more than just what you give. Perhaps this silence is the refining fire where my faith becomes purer, where the noise of the world fades and only you remain. If so, then even in this, you are good. Father, help me honor this silence. Help me not resent it, but receive it as a gift wrapped in mystery. Let this be the place where my roots go deeper, not because I feel more, but because I believe more. Let it be where I learn that faith is not about sensation, but about steadiness. Let it be where I find that stillness is not emptiness, is fullness in disguise. Teach me to trust you with my unanswered questions, to worship you without needing an explanation, to obey even when the road ahead is dim. For even in silence, you are shaping me. You are preparing me. You are not wasting this moment. You are working where I cannot see. You are whispering truths that echo louder than the world's loudest lies. I choose to believe that your silence is not the end of the story. It is part of the story. It is the space where you mold character, where you deepen love, where you show me what it means to follow without condition. And in that following, I become more like you, not because I always hear you, but because I trust you even when I do not. God, I thank you for the days of silence, because they lead me to hunger for you more. They teach me to cling, not just to your hand, but to your heart. They teach me that you are not my convenience. You are my constant, that when all else falls silent, you remain the faithful one who never leaves, never changes, never sleeps. That truth alone keeps my soul from drifting. Let me sit in this silence without fear. Let me embrace it as holy. Let me know that you are here, even when I feel nothing. And if I never hear the answer I long for, let me still walk forward with trust. Because faith is not built on feelings, it is built on choosing to believe, choosing to remain, choosing to love, even in the quiet. Lord, now that I have begun to recognize the sacredness of silence, I come before you not demanding noise or signs, but asking for something deeper, strength to wait well. Because the hardest part of this walk is not always the pain, but the patience it requires. Waiting stretches my soul, and in the stretching, I feel my limitations, my need, my H for resolution. But in that very H, I sense you at work, quietly refining me. not in a rush but with careful intention. Father, I confess that waiting often feels like weakness. The world tells me to move fast, to chase answers, to fix everything immediately. But you call me to another rhythm, one that beats with eternity, not urgency. So I lay down my timelines and trade my panic for presence. I open my clenched hands and unclench my restless thoughts. I ask for eyes that see beyond delays and into the depth of what you are doing in the unseen places of my life. You have never asked me to perform, only to trust. And sometimes trusting means standing still when everything in me wants to flee. Sometimes it means waking up again to another quiet morning with no breakthrough in sight, but still choosing hope. And that choice, repeated day after day, becomes a song of surrender, a declaration that you are enough, even in the in-between. God, remind me that waiting is not wasted, that every unanswered question, every paused dream, every prolonged battle is held within your sovereign hands. You are not late. You are not unaware. You are not indifferent. You are the God who sees, who knows, who measures time with perfect love. And in that truth, I find rest not because I understand, but because I am understood. Teach me how to wait with grace, not grumbling, to let the waiting build something eternal within me instead of bitterness. To be gentle with myself when I falter, to be honest with you when the ache feels unbearable, and still to remain, still to believe, still to rise each day and say, I am here, Lord, I am yours, even in this. Let this waiting become a sanctuary, not a prison. Let it be the place where my heart learns to lean without fear, to breathe without demanding, to grow without seeing. Let it be holy ground, where my roots run deeper and my trust stretches wider. Let it be where I find that strength is not in striving, but in staying. Sometimes, I imagine what you are preparing behind the curtain of this waiting. Maybe it is something I never thought to ask for. Maybe it is more of you. Maybe it is a healing I did not know I needed. Whatever it is, let my heart be ready. Let it be soft, not calloused by delay. Let it be expectant, not entitled. Let it be found faithful when the appointed time arrives. Father, there are days when the weight of waiting feels unbearable. When my heart aches from the repetition of stillness, when I question if I am moving at all. But even in those moments, whisper to my soul that progress is not always loud, growth is not always visible, and miracles often unfold in the quiet chambers of endurance. Let my faith be a steady flame through the night of waiting. Let it not flicker with every passing hour, but burn consistently with the oil of trust. Let it illuminate the path I cannot yet see. Let it draw others near who also wait in darkness, that they may see that waiting is not punishment, but preparation. I choose today to believe that what I wait for is not as important as who I wait with. And I wait with you, Lord, not just for an outcome, but in intimacy. Not just for a breakthrough, but in belonging. And that, in itself, is a gift. To walk with you, to know you in the pause, to love you without rushing ahead. So as I wait, I worship. As I linger, I lean. As I pause, I praise, not because I see the end, because I trust the one who holds it, not because I feel strong, but because I am held by the strong one. This is how I wait now, not with clenched fists, but with open hands, not with fear, but with quiet joy, not with despair, but with anchored hope. And in that hope, I rise again this morning, breathing in the peace that only you can give, walking into another day of waiting not as a burden, but as a holy invitation, an invitation to trust, to grow, to remain, and to know that in every waiting room of life, you are already there, weaving purpose through every thread of time. Lord, I return to you again this morning with the same ache I carried yesterday. Yet something within me is beginning to shift. The silence is still there. The answers have not arrived, and the path ahead remains unclear. But I no longer feel abandoned in the waiting. Instead, I sense that perhaps this waiting itself is sacred ground, not a punishment, not a pause in your presence. It's a place where something unseen is being formed, something deeper than resolution. It is not easy to admit that I do not know when the breakthrough will come. It is hard to let go of my demand for timing that fits my comfort. But you are showing me that your ways are higher, and in your timing, you are not late. There is a purpose in the pause. There is mercy in the delay. And though I have wrestled with impatience and frustration, this morning I lean into trust a little more fully than I did before. I remember now that some of the most beautiful things in creation take time. The roots beneath the soil, the unfolding of a flower, the rise of the sun itself, none are rushed. And yet they are never late. So, too, my life in your hands is unfolding with intention. Nothing wasted. Nothing forgotten. Every unanswered prayer, every sleepless night, every sigh and silent plea, they are not lost in the wind. They are seeds you have planted, and even if I cannot see the harvest yet, you are watering them with unseen grace. Help me, God, to not run ahead of you. Help me resist the temptation to fill the waiting with distractions or false comforts that only deepen the ache. Give me the courage to remain here with you, to let this be enough, not the outcome, not the miracle, but your presence itself. Let my heart learn that waiting with you is not time wasted, but time redeemed. I confess that I often measure life by what moves, what changes, what I can point to and say, look, progress. But you are teaching me to measure differently now, not in movement, but in faithfulness. To count the quiet days as days of victory, because I stayed, because I did not give up, because I still opened my heart to you, even when heaven felt silent. In this waiting, I have discovered the layers of myself I never knew were there. The fears I buried, the longings I hid, the questions I avoided. And instead of turning away, you have gently held them all. You have not scolded my doubt. You have not rushed my process. You have waited with me, and in doing so, you have shown me that I am not a burden to you. Even in my weakest moments, I am seen, I am heard, I am loved. I picture now a tree in winter bare, motionless, still. To the untrained eye, It may seem lifeless, but deep within, beneath the frozen earth, it is gathering strength, storing life, preparing for spring. That is me, Lord. I am learning that I do not need to look alive to be alive. I do not need to feel joy to be growing in faith. I do not need to understand to be carried by your understanding. This season is not the end. It is preparation for something new. So I surrender my timelines again. I lay down my impatience and open my hands to your pace. If the waiting stretches longer, then stretch my endurance. If the silence deepens, then deepen my trust. Let me be rooted, not restless. Let me abide in this present moment with the assurance that you are just as near here as you are on the mountaintop of breakthrough. I know now that faith is not proven by how loudly I declare my beliefs, but by how quietly I wait when nothing changes. I want to be faithful here, in this unremarkable, slow space. I want to be known in heaven as one who did not turn away, even when I could not see, one who whispered, I believe, even when my voice trembled, one who stayed. Thank you for not hurrying me, Lord. Thank you for not rushing to give me what I ask for before my heart is ready to hold it. Thank you for letting this season shape me rather than spare me. It is hard. It is humbling, but it is holy. And if waiting is the soil in which you grow resilience and hope, then plant me here and teach me how to bloom in your time. Though the world rushes around me, I will stay in this stillness with you. Though others move forward and I feel behind, I will believe that you are not measuring me by their pace. You are working in me a story that is mine alone. And the timing of that story is beautiful, even if it is not fast. So I choose peace today. Not the peace that comes from control or certainty. The peace that comes from surrender. From knowing you are the author, and you write each chapter with wisdom, not haste. I trust you to complete what you started, not in my time, but in yours. Let this waiting not be passive, but purposeful. Let it be worship. Let it be witness. Let it be wonder. Father, as I continue walking this quiet path of morning surrender, I find myself breathing deeper in the stillness, finding a different kind of strength in this slow unfolding. Each moment of waiting, though it may not feel like progress, is woven with your presence, hidden but faithful. I remember now that what you are shaping in me is not temporary relief, but lasting resilience. Not just answers, but transformation. Let my heart remain soft and attentive, even when the world demands hardness. Let me listen for your whisper when the noise of life tries to drown it out. This day, I do not ask for everything to be solved. I ask to see you more clearly, to trust you more deeply, to remain with you more willingly. Even when I feel I have nothing to offer, you invite me to come. And so, I come, just as I am. Father, even when yesterday's wounds still ache beneath the surface, you hold them with such tenderness that it makes me wonder how I ever doubted your gentleness. You do not rush my healing. You do not shame my slowness. You sit beside me in the mess and offer something better, a quick fix. You offer yourself. The world tells me to move on, but you say, stay here. I am doing something deeper, and so I stay, even if my staying feels like standing still. I trust that you are not measuring me by my momentum, but by my willingness to remain close to you, even in the fog. Lord, in the silence where no words seem to come, I have discovered that your voice does not always arrive as thunder, but often as breath, as warmth, as peace that makes no sense in the chaos. This is where I learn again that faith is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of trust. You do not demand performance, only surrender. And even when my surrender is weary and trembling, it is enough for you. That is grace. And it is more than I deserve, yet you give it freely, God. When I wake and feel behind, when the weight of unfulfilled hopes presses down, when I wonder if this day will look any different than the last, remind me that you are not a God of repetition, but of redemption. You are writing a story I cannot yet see the ending of, but you promise it is good. You do not waste waiting. You do not despise the questions that linger. Instead, you gather every broken piece, every forgotten prayer, every small obedience, and you shape them into something sacred. That is why I will not lose heart. Lord, let my hope be fierce today, not loud, not boastful, but steady and stubborn, rooted in the knowing that you are with me. Let me choose hope when cynicism feels easier. Let me walk forward even when I feel like hiding. Let me believe that the light is already coming. Even if the sky still looks gray, you do not lie. You do not abandon. You are the same today as you were in every moment. I thought I could not survive, and yet I did, because you carried me. Father, I lay down my fear again. I lay down the pressure to be strong. I lay down the guilt that clings to me in the quiet hours. I lay down the bitterness that tries to rise up when life feels unfair. I lay it all at your feet, not because I am noble, but because I cannot carry it anymore. And you have always invited the burdened, not the perfect. You have always lifted the ones who can no longer lift themselves. So I stop pretending. I stop performing. I let myself be loved exactly as I am. God, even if my prayers feel small today, even if my faith feels thin, you hear every whisper. You see every effort I make to stay near. You count every tear, not as signs of failure, but as signs of being alive and soft enough to still feel. You are not ashamed of my pain. You do not rush my processing. You remain with me, steady as the sunrise, patient as the tide, generous as the wind that kisses my face without demand. Lord, I ask for just enough for this moment, not for the whole day, not for the whole journey. Just enough for now, enough strength to rise, enough grace to breathe, enough courage to keep showing up. You do not require me to conquer the mountain all at once. You simply ask me to take one step, and then another, and with each one, you walk beside me. Never pushing, always present. This is how I will make it through, not by might, not by power, but by your Spirit. Father, in the unseen places where no one applauds and no one notices, help me remain faithful. Let me honor you not only in success, but in surrender, not only in answered prayers, but in the long H of waiting, not only when the path is clear, but when it is clouded with fog, and I must trust your voice more than my vision. Teach me to rejoice in the little victories, the breath that comes easier, the moment of stillness in the rush, the choice to believe even when I cannot see. Lord, this day may not look like breakthrough. It may not carry the miracle I have longed for. But if I can be kind when I want to shut down, if I can forgive when I want to hold a grudge, if I can give thanks in the small and ordinary, then I am living in the light of your presence. That is the miracle. That is the grace. That is the evidence that you are at work in me, reshaping the rough edges, quieting the chaos, rewriting my story one surrendered moment at a time. God, I do not know what lies ahead, but I know you. I know you are good. I know you are near. I know you are not finished. And so I take this next breath with confidence, not in myself, but in you. I choose trust again. I choose love again. I choose surrender again, not because it is easy, but because you are worth it. Because you are my portion, because you are my peace, because in you I am home, even when nothing else makes sense. And that is enough. That is more than enough. Lord, in the gentle stillness that follows the cries of confusion, I come before you once more, holding on to the threads of hope that have carried me this far. The questions still swirl in my heart. The shadows still try to stretch across the edges of my peace. But something has shifted. From the quiet echoes of yesterday's surrender, I find the courage to speak today, not with trembling lips, but with a soul longing to trust more fully. I bring to you what remains of my uncertainties, those pockets of fear that flare when I can see the way forward. And yet, I sense you asking me not to see everything, only to see you, God. You never promised that the path would be clear, only that you would walk with me. So I lean into that promise now, reaching beyond the need for answers and resting in the assurance of your presence. The world demands plans and certainty, but you invite me into something deeper: dependence. Not on what I know, but on who you are. Not on outcomes, but on your character. You are not the God of confusion, but the God who brings peace even when the details are unfinished. And so I step into this day with open hands, asking you to help me stay present in the unknown. Let this season of not knowing become sacred ground, where faith grows not in the absence of questions, but in the midst of them. Shape in me a trust that is not rooted in comfort, but in communion. Let my faith not rise and fall with circumstances, but anchor in the truth of your unchanging nature. Teach me how to wait without wasting the waiting. Teach me how to hope without demanding guarantees. Teach me how to walk without needing the whole map, just the next step, lit by your word and led by your spirit. I remember now that some of your greatest works began with people stepping out into the unknown. Abraham left everything familiar, not knowing where he was going. Moses led a people through the desert, guided only by fire and cloud. Mary said yes without knowing the full cost. And Jesus trusted you even in Gethsemane. Lord, help me follow in their footsteps, not because I am strong, but because you are. Let their obedience remind me that faith was never about perfection, but about surrender. It was never about controlling the outcome, but about staying close to the one who holds it. Father, I ask you to meet me in the tension between fear and trust. Let every unanswered question become a place where you whisper reassurance. Let every delay become a reminder that your timing is not late, but layered with wisdom I cannot yet see. When I feel the pressure to figure things out, gently lead me back to stillness. Let my heart be more drawn to your presence than to resolution. Make peace the compass, not fear. Make love the motivation, not control. In the quiet places, teach me to listen. In the loud moments, teach me to return. In the stillness, remind me that I am not abandoned. My doubts do not disqualify me from your love. They simply invite me into deeper intimacy. Thank you for not turning away when I falter, for being the kind of God who embraces my humanity. You never ask me to pretend. You ask me to come again and again, until my soul remembers what it has always known, that I belong to you, and you are enough. Today, let faith look like small steps. Ordinary obedience, and relentless returning to you. Let it be the breath I take when anxiety rises, the song I hum when fear tries to flood in. Let it be the choice to speak grace to myself when I fall short, and to others when they do the same. Let it be the light I carry into rooms that feel uncertain, and the warmth I extend to those who are walking their own roads of doubt. Use me, even in my imperfection, to reflect your steadfastness. Lord, this is not the end of my questions, but is the beginning of a deeper trust. I do not know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds me today. I do not know how long the road will be, but I know you won't leave my side. So I choose to walk forward with you, not because I have all the answers, but because you are the answer. Not because I feel brave, but because you have promised to be my strength. Let my life be a prayer in motion, a song of surrender, and a testimony of quiet, steady trust in the face of the unknown. And as the morning sun rises again outside my window, I feel the echo of your voice in my spirit, gentle, constant, true. You are here. You have not forgotten. And even when everything around me shifts, you remain. Let that be enough. Let that carry me through. Let that root me in peace that passes understanding, in faith that rises from the dust of doubt, and in love that never fails. Father, you meet me again in this morning hush, where silence holds the weight of yesterday's reflections and today's unknowns. The quiet flows seamlessly from where my heart last rested, still leaning into the rhythm of your peace, still longing to be shaped by the trust that kept me anchored through every passing hour. As the new day unfolds its petals slowly before me, I bring my soul unsure, but willing into the warmth of your presence. With every breath, I feel the stirring of something deeper, a hunger not for answers, but for alignment. I do not ask you to erase the challenges, for I now understand they are part of the refining. Instead, I ask you to walk beside me through them, letting each one deepen my faith and widen my understanding. Teach me not to be afraid of the uncomfortable spaces. Let me sit with discomfort long enough to see the work you are doing within it. Transform what feels like delay into deep preparation, what seems like silence into sacred shaping. You, Lord, are the steady hand guiding my steps. Even when I can't see where the path will turn, You see beyond my present moment. You see what I will become. So I release my striving. I release my tendency to control, to predict, to guard myself against disappointment. Instead, I open my heart to the soft strength of surrender. Let my obedience be quiet and unwavering. Let my faith be formed not in bold declarations, but in humble consistency. Remind me, God, that I am not defined by outcomes or achievements, but by the way I lean into you in the middle of the waiting. Give me the courage to choose peace over panic, patience over performance. Help me to look beyond the surface of each moment and perceive the holy undercurrent, your spirit, gently shaping the details I cannot yet understand. If I must wait, let it be active waiting, eyes lifted, heart open, ears tuned to your whisper. This day, Lord, I ask not for ease, but for clarity of purpose. Let my hands be open to give without fear of lack. My words be soaked in kindness, my mind stayed on what is pure and worthy. Help me to silence the noise within that tries to predict failure before anything begins. Let me walk through today with unshakable gentleness, rooted not in my ability, but in your unwavering character. I confess I still have parts of me that flinch at uncertainty, but even here, I am learning to see you as the keeper of my peace when things shift unexpectedly, when others misunderstand, when the day does not go according to plan. Anchor me again in the truth that nothing can shake what you have established in me. I do not need everything to go my way in order to experience the fullness of your presence. You, Father, are not merely found in the extraordinary. You are woven into the simple motions of the day, the way I rise, the way I speak, the way I pause to listen. May I carry a sacred awareness that you are in it all. Every email I send, every hand I hold, every burden I lift in silence, let it be an offering. May my life preach louder than my words. May my actions speak of a peace the world cannot give or take. Let my decisions today be guided not by anxiety, but by wisdom. Let me seek counsel where I lack understanding and humility where I would prefer pride. Let me be quick to forgive, slow to assume, gentle when I am provoked. Strengthen my resolve to do the quiet work, the kind that few will see, but you never overlook. Place eternity in the forefront of my thinking, so that I will not be ruled by the pressures of the temporary. And when I grow tired, Lord, help me to retreat not into numbness, but into you. When my energy runs low, let me find renewal not in distraction, but in presence. Your presence. Breathe over my weariness. Whisper into my restlessness. Pour light into the places still clouded by fear. I know you do not rush me. You do not shame me for being human. You simply stay with love that outlasts my doubt and grace that outpaces my failure. So I will keep returning. Keep surrendering. Keep trusting, even in the monotony, even in the mystery. I know you are weaving a story more beautiful than I could ever craft. Let me be faithful with my thread. Let me show up with a quiet heart and a willing spirit. Let me water what you have planted, even if I do not yet see the growth. Let me serve with joy, love with purity, and rest with confidence. Today, Lord, I will not measure my worth by the noise around me, or the opinions that shift like the wind. I will remember who I am in you, chosen, secure, loved without condition. That truth steadies me. That truth invites me into freedom. Let it echo in my thoughts as I go about this day. Let it echo louder than fear, louder than doubt, louder than the voice that says, I am not enough. Your peace is not a reward for having it all together. It is a gift for the surrendered. So I lead in, unguarded and grateful. I let it settle into the corners of my mind and stretch wide across the horizon of my day. I welcome your guidance not as a roadmap, but as a daily rhythm of trust. You are not asking me to know everything, only to walk with you through everything. And so I do, quietly, steadily, with a heart still learning, still softening, still believing in the goodness that runs deeper than circumstance. I trust you with the unseen, with the unfinished, with the still unfolding. And as this day begins, I rise not with certainty, but with sacred expectancy, because you are here. And that is more than enough. Father, as the morning light stretches further across the sky, and the quiet rhythm of the day begins to take form, I return to you with the same openness that carried me through yesterday. My soul remains in this sacred dialogue with you, drawn not by obligation, but by the peace I find in your nearness. What began in stillness now moves into motion, yet your presence is the thread that holds it all together. Uninterrupted, unchanging, even as the world begins to stir with its demands, my heart leans into the stillness within a stillness that is not the absence of noise, but the presence of you. I do not wish to merely survive today. I want to be fully present in it, to experience it as a holy offering. Let my moments not be rushed. Let my spirit not be fragmented by distractions. Instead, let each task, no matter how small, become part of my worship, God. Let my hands work with grace. Let my mind focus with clarity. Let my words reflect your kindness. I want to bring excellence not to impress others, but to honor the life you have given me. Remind me that the sacred is often hidden in the ordinary, that your fingerprints are found in the overlooked corners of the day. When I wash dishes, write words, speak to strangers, let me remember that all is seen by you. There is beauty in the mundane when viewed through the lens of gratitude. So today, I choose to be grateful not only for the highlights, but for the quiet spaces between, for the breath in my lungs, the strength in my limbs, the chance to begin again, even when nothing extraordinary happens. Help me see that being alive in your presence is already a miracle. And when I feel overwhelmed, Lord, when the pace of life presses against the calm I long to keep, be my pause. Teach me to slow not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Show me how to respond instead of react. Guide me to listen before I speak, to seek understanding over validation. Let my spirit remain anchored in peace, even when the storm brews loud around me. Father, teach me to carry peace the way you do, quietly, humbly, powerfully, not as something fragile that needs to be protected, but as something strong that cannot be shaken. Let me be the one who brings calm into chaos, not because I have no worries, but because I have learned where to place them. I place them in your hands now, one by one, without needing to understand how you will carry them. You do not ask for perfection, you ask for presence. And so I offer that today, not a flawless performance, but an open heart, one that is willing to try again, to forgive again, to believe again. Help me to release my expectations and trade them for trust. Help me to move through this day with the quiet confidence of one who is deeply loved and never abandoned. When I am tempted to rush ahead, remind me that some things grow best in patience. When I long to skip the process, remind me that the process is where you do your most beautiful work. I do not need to have all the answers, only to take the next faithful step. So here I am, Lord, placing my foot on the ground you have already prepared. I do not walk alone. Let my eyes remain open to beauty, to the way sunlight dances on the wall, to the kindness of a passing smile, to the comfort of familiar voices. Let me not become numb to the gifts around me. Make me sensitive to the grace that shows up unannounced in interruptions, in detours, in the pauses I did not plan. Let me meet each moment with wonder instead of worry. God, I also ask you to teach me how to be gentle with others and with myself. The world demands so much, and I often echo its harshness within. But you speak in tenderness. You correct with compassion. You restore with mercy. Let that same spirit guide the way I treat those around me. Let me assume the best, extend patience, and offer space for others to grow. And for the times when I fail, and I know I will remind me that failure is not the end. You never define me by my worst moments. Your grace is not conditional. Let me run back to you without shame, and let me extend that same grace to those who fall short with me. Make me a person who reflects your mercy, not just in belief, but in behavior. Even in the tasks I dread, the conversations I avoid, the uncertainties I face, let me bring you with me. Not just in prayer, but in posture. Let my life speak of trust louder than my lips. Let my choices reflect that I believe you are good, even when the outcome is unclear. Let my peace be proof of your presence, my joy a quiet act of resistance against despair. I do not want to live this day in fear of what might go wrong. I want to walk in the freedom of what is already right, that I am loved, I am held, I am known, that even if I make mistakes, I will not be disqualified from your purpose. Even if I am overlooked by others, I am never unseen by you. Let that truth soften the edges of my pride and strengthen the core of my identity. As the hours stretch ahead, I ask for strength, not the kind that is loud and showy, but the kind that endures in silence. The kind that keeps showing up, keeps choosing love, keeps believing in hope. The kind that trusts the sunrise even before it lights the sky. That is the strength I need today. That is the strength I know you give freely. And if this day holds sorrow, Lord, help me carry it with dignity. Help me to find you even in the tears. Remind me that pain is not a punishment and sadness is not a sign of failure. Let me feel what I need to feel, but anchor me in the truth that no feeling is final when I walk with you. You are the God who turns mourning into dancing, not by denying sorrow, but by walking me through it. So let this day be what you intended it to be. Not a race to the finish line, but a slow unfolding of grace. Let it be filled with quiet faithfulness, with soft strength, with sacred pauses. Let it be marked by moments where I remember again and again that I am not alone, that you are near, and that each breath is a gift. Father, this is how I begin again, not with loud declarations, but with a quiet return, not with perfect plans, but with surrendered hands. And in this posture, I find you not far, but here, always here. That is enough. That is everything. Father, as I rise once more into the quiet unfolding of this day, I continue where I left off with a heart leaning into you, shaped by all the trust and tears of yesterday. The stillness around me holds a kind of sacred space, and in that silence, I bring the unspoken weight of what I still do not understand. Even when I have lifted prayers with hope, sometimes the answers do not arrive as expected, or they seem delayed beyond the edge of my endurance. Yet even in the waiting, I find you steady. You do not rush or panic like I often do. You remain who you have always been, faithful, close, full of mercy, and so I return, morning after morning, not because my life is perfect, but because you are. There are things, Lord, that I carry inwardly, things no one sees, fears that disguise themselves as logic, doubts that whisper when the room is quiet, questions that echo louder than my confidence. But still, I bring them into the light of your presence. I do not need to pretend strength before you. I do not need to tidy my heart like a guest room. You have already chosen to dwell within the most tender, broken parts of me. You do not retreat from my weakness. You step into it with love, and so I open even more today, more fully than yesterday, inviting you into what still aches, what still hopes, what still longs to trust more deeply. God, when the path grows difficult or unclear, help me to remember that your light does not always illuminate the entire road. Sometimes you only show the next step, and even that is enough when I walk with you. So I will not rush ahead in fear, nor freeze in hesitation. I will breathe slowly, inhale your promises, and take the step you place before me. I will trust that each footfall guided by you is safe ground, even if it feels unfamiliar. You walk with me not only in triumph, but in trial. You are not waiting at the destination. You are beside me in the journey. I thank you for the gentle reminders you place in my day, the sunrise that softens my fear, the kindness of a stranger, the strength that comes unexpectedly, the calm that finds me in a storm. These moments are not accidents. They are mercy wrapped in the ordinary. Let me not overlook them. Let me be sensitive to how you speak through the small and the still. You are not always loud. Sometimes your love is a whisper, a breeze, a subtle peace that shifts the weight of my soul just enough to keep going. Lord, in moments when I feel unseen or forgotten, help me anchor to the truth that you never turn away. You do not forget my name, my needs, or my story. You wrote it with purpose. You redeem even the chapters I wish were unwritten. I believe that nothing is wasted in your hands, not pain, not delay, not confusion, even what the enemy meant for harm. You bend toward healing. You write resurrection into the final word. Teach me to wait without despair, to hope without condition, to trust without visible proof. My faith was never meant to rest on sight, but on you. There is a strength I have never had to find before, and it is not of my own making. It is the result of leaning into you instead of leaning on my own understanding. It is the kind of strength that holds on when feelings let go, that remains rooted when everything else shifts. Thank you for being my root system. Thank you for being the one who grounds me when my world spins. Thank you for being my safe place, not because you always prevent the storm, but because you remain my shelter within it. Today, God, I surrender the urge to predict, to control, to force outcomes. I release the illusion that I must hold it all together. Instead, I open my hands again. I offer you my plans, my timing, my expectations. Breathe over them. Rearrange them. Replace them. And give me the grace to receive what you know is best, not just what I think I want. Remind me that surrender is not defeat, it is freedom. It is the posture of a soul at rest in your love. Let my thoughts today be shaped by truth, not fear. Let my decisions be led by peace, not pressure. Let my interactions be filled with compassion, not reaction. And let my inner world be ruled not by the chaos of my circumstances, but by the calm of your spirit. You do not give as the world gives. You offer a peace that does not depend on outcomes. And today, that is the treasure I seek more than anything. Father, as the hours ahead unfold, walk with me in every conversation, every challenge, every quiet moment, and every loud one. Remind me that I am not walking into the unknown. I am walking with the one who knows all. And no matter what this day holds, it cannot hold more than you, Lord. As I continue to walk with you through the gentle unfolding of this new day, I find myself standing before the quiet yet trembling threshold of fear. It comes not with loud chaos, but with silent questions, with trembling hands and heavy thoughts. And yet, Father, even in the tension of uncertainty, I choose to trust you. I choose to bring my fragile places into your presence, knowing that you do not condemn my fear, but meet me there, tenderly, with strength. The fears that wake me in the night, the worries I can quite name, the future that feels too big, and the past that still whispers all of it. I surrender. I do not pretend I am fearless. I bring you my trembling. And in this sacred moment, I ask not for the absence of fear, but for the presence of courage. Not courage drawn from my own will, but courage born from being loved by you. Remind me, Lord, that I am never alone, not even in the shadows. You know the places in my life where anxiety tries to build a throne. You see the corners of my mind where doubt sneaks in, painting worst-case scenarios in the colors of despair. But you, God, are the light that no shadow can extinguish. You are the whisper that stills the storm, the outstretched hand in the waves, the steady heart in the chaos. And I lean into you now, not because I have no fear, but because I know you are greater than every fear I carry. If today brings confrontation, help me to face it with clarity and grace. If it brings sorrow, let me meet it with compassion and hope. If the road ahead feels steep and lonely, let me hear your steady footsteps beside mine. Even when I cannot see, if I feel weak, remind me that your power is made perfect in that weakness. Let me wear my need for you not as shame, but as an anchor, holding me steady in the truth that I do not have to have it all together. God, I ask you to fill the empty places where fear has drained my strength. Fill them not just with calm, but with your fire, the fire of confidence that comes from knowing who I belong to. Let me remember that you have already gone ahead of me, that you stand not just behind me in my past, but before me in my future, already preparing the way. And even in this very breath, you are with me, not leaving, not turning away, not growing weary of my cries. Some fears are loud and sudden, but others are slow burning fears about my worth, my purpose, my ability to endure. To these, I ask you to speak with authority. Cut through the lies. Silence the voice that says, I am not enough. Teach me to recognize that voice is not yours. Your voice calls me chosen, loved, held, seen. Your voice says I am never disqualified by failure nor forgotten in my pain. And so I choose to listen more carefully to you than to fear. I know there may be moments today when I feel small, overwhelmed, or unsure. But even then, Lord, give me the courage to act with kindness, to move forward even if my steps are trembling. Help me to anchor my actions in truth, not in fear. Remind me that courage is not loud or dramatic, it is quiet persistence. The choice to love when it is hard, to forgive when I have been hurt, to hope when it seems foolish. That kind of courage comes from you. Let my mind not be consumed with what ifs, but filled with even if. Even if things do not go the way I planned, you are still good. Even if today holds tears, you are still near. Even if I feel shaken, you are my rock. Even if the night falls before I see the breakthrough, you are still working. Let my peace be rooted in who you are, not in what happens around me. And in those moments when fear tries to isolate me, Lord, draw me into the reminder of your presence. I am not meant to fight alone. I am not expected to carry burdens that only you are strong enough to hold. Teach me the humility to ask for help, the wisdom to rest when I need to, and the grace to offer others the same compassion you give so freely to me. Make my heart soft even in the storm. You, Father, are not afraid of what scares me. You walk straight into the dark places I avoid, and you light them up with love. So I will not hide my fear from you. I will bring it into the open, trusting that what I bring into the light loses its power to control me. You are my sanctuary, my safety, my strength. And so, as the day begins to stretch open before me, I rise not with bravado, but with sacred bravery, the kind that whispers, I will not give up. I place my feet on the ground, knowing that wherever I go, I do not go alone. You are already there, steady and sure, calling me forward. God, as I continue to walk the path you have laid before me, I feel the pace of the world pressing in. The responsibilities, the deadlines, The decisions, they all seem to chase me the moment I rise. Yet in the quiet of this morning, before the rush overtakes me, I come to you again. I come not to escape the pressure, but to find your presence within it. I bring you my anxious thoughts, not to be rid of them instantly, but so they may be held and soothed by your peace. The day ahead is full of demands that I may not feel fully prepared to meet. There are voices internal and external that call me to measure up, to prove, to perform. But you, Lord, call me to be still. You remind me that I am not a machine. I am not defined by my productivity or the pace of my performance. I am a child of God, called not first to succeed, but to abide. And so I breathe deeper. I quiet the noise around me and within me. I let my soul remember it is safe in you. Even when I am surrounded by expectations that feel heavy, you offer me a lighter burden. You do not demand more than I can give. You know the limits of my energy, the fragility of my emotions, the strain on my focus. And still, you choose to walk beside me, not as a taskmaster but as a shepherd. You do not push, I am led. You do not shout, I am guided. You do not drive me to exhaustion, you invite me into rhythm. God, in the hours ahead, let my heart not chase approval, but seek alignment with you. When the pressure rises, help me to pause. Help me to recalibrate. Let me respond instead of react. Let me listen instead of rush. Let me choose what matters most instead of being ruled by what seems most urgent. Give me discernment to see what is truly important, even if it means letting go of things that appear impressive. If I am tempted to compare myself today to others, to ideals, to unrealistic standards, pull me back into truth. Comparison is a thief of joy and a robber of peace. It blinds me to the beauty of what you are doing in my life. It clouds the uniqueness of my journey. And so, I choose contentment. Not complacency. I choose progress. Not perfection. I choose peace. Not pressure. Let my thoughts be grounded, Lord, not scattered by anxiety. Let my words be seasoned with grace, not sharpened by stress. Let my actions be intentional, not impulsive. In moments where I feel overwhelmed, remind me that I do not carry the weight of the world, you do. You hold all things together, and I am not the glue. My role is to be faithful, not flawless. If I feel behind, help me remember that I am on your timeline. If I feel rushed, help me rest in your pace. If I feel unseen, help me believe you see every unseen effort. You notice what others miss, the late nights, the quiet tears, the invisible sacrifices. You see them all and you call them precious. That is enough for me. Let it be enough. Lord, teach me to embrace the present moment, to live this hour fully before worrying about the next, to give my best to what is in front of me without trying to predict or control what lies ahead. You are in this moment just as much as you are in the future, and the peace I seek is not out there. Somewhere it is right here, in your presence. Let the people I encounter today experience peace through me. May I be a calming presence, not a reactive one. May I offer patience instead of panic, empathy instead of exasperation. May the way I speak and move and serve create space for others to breathe easier. Make me a vessel of your peace, not just a recipient. In the tension of the day, let me return to you often, not just in the morning, but in quiet seconds between meetings, in deep breaths while waiting, in the moments before I speak. Let me turn my attention toward you again and again, not as a ritual, but as a refuge. Let my spirit whisper your name in crowded places and stressful spaces, not to impress anyone, but to survive in grace. I know, God, that not every pressure will disappear. Some burdens are meant to grow my strength. Some tensions are meant to deepen my trust. Some moments of pressure reveal the cracks where light breaks through. So I do not ask for a pressure-free life, I ask for a peace-filled one. Let me be marked not by how much I accomplish, but by how deeply I remain in you. And when the day draws to a close, may I look back not with regret, but with gentle reflection. May I see not just what I finished, but how I stayed faithful, not just what I did, but who I became. Let the final thought on my heart be gratitude, not because everything went smoothly, but because you were with me in every moment, calming the storm within. Father, as the light of this day slowly expands and the rhythm of life continues to stir around me, I remain in this space with you, drawing strength from the quiet truth that sustained me through yesterday and carries me now into today. The pressures, the uncertainties, and the moments of waiting that yesterday brought are still here in many ways, lingering like shadows before full daylight. But I meet them now not with weariness, but with renewed resolve. I meet them not alone, but with you. There is something holy, God, about continuing, about choosing to keep going even when the outcome is unclear. And so I press forward with the quiet courage that only comes from believing you are already in my tomorrow. Every unknown that stretches before me is a space you have already entered. You do not need to catch up with my fears or figure out what happens next. You are already there. My only task is to walk in step with you, not sprint ahead nor lag behind. In a world that constantly demands certainty and clarity, you offer instead presence and faithfulness. You do not promise ease, but you promise yourself, and that is a greater gift than certainty. I admit, Father, that I often want the map more than I want the guide. I want to see the full picture instead of trusting each brushstroke. But today, I choose to walk by faith. Even if I can only see the next small step, I trust that the path will unfold not because I control it, but because you walk it with me. Some parts of this day will challenge my patience. Some interactions will test my humility. Some choices will ask more of me than I feel able to give. But you never ask me to endure in my own strength. You invite me to draw from yours. And when I do, I find I am not as fragile as I feared. I discover that weakness is not something to hide, but something you inhabit. In my weakness, you are strong. In my hesitation, you are steady. In my waiting, you are working. Lord, help me endure with grace, not with bitterness. Let perseverance not make me cold or hardened, but refined and softened. Let trials not diminish my hope, but deepen it. Let every unknown I face today be an invitation to lean closer. listen deeper, and love wider. You waste nothing, not even uncertainty. And so I give you my unknowns as an offering. I place my questions before you, not expecting instant answers, but willing to wait for the wisdom that comes through time and trust. As this day stretches out before me, I ask for eyes to see beyond the immediate. When frustration creeps in, give me perspective. When things do not go according to plan, give me peace. When disappointment whispers lies of failure, remind me of truth. My value is not in my performance. My worth is not in the applause of others. My identity is not anchored in my success. It is rooted in you, in a love that does not shift, in a grace that does not expire, in a purpose that cannot be canceled by difficulty. Give me the strength to endure kindness when others offer harshness, patience when time feels slow, and joy when circumstances seem heavy. Let me not become like the chaos around me, but instead become more like Christ within me. Shape my responses to reflect the quiet confidence that comes from knowing I am held, I am loved, I am led. When the day ends, may I not measure its worth by how much I accomplished or how little went wrong. Let me measure it by how present I was to the moments you placed before me. Let endurance be more than just surviving. Let it be faithful living, even when things are unclear. For it is in the not knowing that I learn to trust, and in the trusting that I become truly strong. Father, you meet me here again in the quiet of this new morning, where the soft echoes of yesterday still linger, and the path forward remains hidden just beyond the next breath. After learning to trust in endurance, I now turn to you not only for strength to continue, but for guidance in the spaces where answers do not come quickly and silence feels long. Lord, there is a stillness that settles in the heart before decisions are made, before paths unfold. And it is in that stillness I bring myself to you. I do not always know which direction to take, but I trust that when I wait with you, I am never wasting time. Each pause in your presence is a holy preparation, a moment of clarity growing slowly like light at dawn. Even when I crave movement, even when I feel the pressure to act, teach me the wisdom of stillness. Remind me that progress does not always look like motion, and growth often takes root in silence. You are not impatient with my waiting. You are not unsettled by my uncertainty. You draw close in the stillness, whispering truths that I can only hear when I stop striving. Guide me not with noise, but with your peace. Let it settle over my soul like dew on the morning grass, gentle but unmistakably real. When I feel pulled in many directions, bring my attention back to you. Remind me that I do not walk alone. You are not only a destination, I find you in the process, in the in-between spaces where faith becomes real. Sometimes I ask you for signs when what I really need is quiet trust. Sometimes I chase reassurance when what you offer is a deeper knowing, the kind that does not depend on visible evidence, but on the relationship we have built through mornings like these. Help me to slow my thoughts and soften my expectations. Let your voice rise above the clamor of my worries. Let your direction unfold not through flashes of certainty, but through consistent presence. I do not need to see the whole picture to take the next step. I only need to know that you are near. Let every breath I take today be a return to that awareness. Let every pause remind me to check in with you, not to seek control, but to welcome companionship. You are not a distant observer, but a present guide, shaping each moment with care and purpose. Even in stillness, the world moves around me. But when I move with you, I am never lost. When I wait with you, I am never wasting time. So in the quiet stretches of this day, speak not only to my mind, but to the deeper part of me that longs to walk with integrity and peace. Shape my pace according to your wisdom, not my impulse. Teach me to listen longer, to respond slower, to reflect more deeply. Let your light rise slowly within me, until I no longer fear the unknown, because I trust the one who walks beside me in it. Let this morning be a sacred pause, a resting place before the next decision, a whisper of your voice before the next move. And as I rise from this moment of prayer, do not let me leave the stillness behind. Let it go with me. Let it lead me. Let it remind me that with you, I am always held, even in the waiting. God, as the morning continues to unfold, I find myself carried along the gentle rhythm of trust that you began shaping within me long before my eyes opened today. The reflections that spilled from my soul just moments ago still echo softly in my chest. And now I return to you not as someone seeking something new, but as one who desires to remain in the current of your presence. It is not enough to begin my day with faith. I long to walk through each unknown hour anchored to the unwavering peace that flows only from you. I look ahead, and though I cannot fully see what lies before me, I am learning to release my grip on certainty. Father, I know you do not require me to chart my path or predict each twist in the road. You only ask that I follow, and I want to follow well. Let my first step be steady, because my gaze is fixed not on what is ahead, but on who is leading me. The unknown loses its power to intimidate when I remember that nothing is hidden from you. You see around every corner, and you stand at the finish of every beginning. I ask for the courage to accept uncertainty not as a threat, but as an invitation to deepen my dependence. Help me not to fill the gaps with anxious speculation, but with faithful expectation. Where my instincts might press me to build walls of self-protection, guide my hands instead to open wider, to surrender, to receive, to embrace. The wilderness does not frighten you, Lord. It becomes a garden under your hand. So let me enter this day with that same quiet assurance, knowing that wherever I go, your footsteps have already gone before me. If questions rise that have no immediate answers, let me resist the urge to panic. Instead, may I pause and breathe deeply of your presence, letting the silence become a sanctuary rather than a storm. Remind me that you are not only the God of clarity, but also the God of mystery. And you are no less good when you lead me through the shadows than you illuminate every path. You do not measure my trust by how well I understand, but by how willingly I cling to you when I do not. In moments of waiting, stretch the roots of my spirit deeper. In times of delay, open my ears to your still small voice. When plans unravel and expectations are unmet, teach me to say not with resignation, but with reverent hope, perhaps you are doing something even better than I had dreamed. Shape my responses to reflect that I am being carried, not abandoned, protected, not forgotten, guided, not lost. There is a sweetness in surrender. Lord, though it does not always come easily. Yet I believe you use each unanswered prayer, each pause in my progress, as a sacred space for transformation. Grow me in the in-between places, water my soul in the dry lands. When I have no map, remind me that your presence is the only compass I need. Help me to rise each morning, not with a script in hand, but with open hands, ready to be filled with whatever you choose to give. You are the God who split the sea without showing the people the other side, the one who asked Abraham to journey without naming the destination, the one who took the disciples into storms so they could learn what it meant to trust. And I believe you are still that same God, unchanged by time, unfazed by chaos, unwavering in love. So if today holds detours, or if the road simply disappears beneath my feet, I will whisper, even if my voice trembles, that I still trust you. Let my thoughts not spiral into worry, but spiral upward in worship. Let my mind rehearse your faithfulness rather than my fears. Let my spirit lean forward into grace instead of retreating in dread. You are writing a story in my life that I do not fully understand, but I am choosing to trust the author more than the plot. Even when pages feel blank, I know they are not empty. You are at work behind every pause, in every hidden line, between every breath. So I continue to place my hope in you, not as a distant deity, but as the present shepherd of my soul. Carry me through this day, Lord, not by removing the unknown, but by filling it with yourself. Let the wind that whispers through my soul this morning be the sound of trust rising, not fear. Let the unfolding of this day be less about what I control and more about what I release, because the more I let go, the more I find you faithful. The more I relinquish, the more I receive. You have never failed me in the fog. You have never forgotten me in the valley. You have never abandoned me in silence. And so I rise now, not because I see the end, but because I believe in your nearness in the middle. Be the calm in every question. Be the firelight in the cold. Be the melody in the silence. Be the answer I do not yet understand, but still trust with all my heart. And as the sun stretches higher into the sky, so may my faith stretch toward you, Lord. As I continue from the stillness you nurtured in me, I find myself breathing deeper, slower, more aware of the steady rhythm of grace you laid across my morning. The warmth of your nearness has not faded. Instead, it lingers like morning dew resting on petals, a quiet presence reminding me that even the unseen carries weight. Even the silent moments hum with your voice. The peace you offer, Father, is unlike anything the world can explain. It is not born of ease or comfort, but of deep trust. It does not depend on circumstances aligning, but on hearts aligning with you. I am not asking for a day without challenges, but for a spirit that remains unshaken within them. Help me carry the peace that surpasses all understanding, like a lantern, into every space I enter. May others feel it before they hear my words. Let calmness flow from me, not because life is gentle, but because I have rested in your gentleness. If the world presses in with its noise, let me not respond with more noise. Let me respond with stillness. If the day grows frantic and fast, teach me to move slowly, purposefully, not rushed by fear but guided by love. I want to be rooted, Lord, not tossed, grounded in grace, not in performance. I want the posture of my soul to be one of openness, not defense, one that welcomes rather than withdraws. And that posture is only possible when I begin by anchoring in you. As I step into this new stretch of hours, I do so with a prayer tucked into my chest, not a plea for perfection, but a desire for presence. Yours above all. Let your peace reign, not only in the big moments, but in the ordinary, in the folding of laundry, in the waiting at red lights, in the pauses between words. Let it rain when I feel unseen, when I am tired, when nothing goes according to plan. Let it remind me that you are not waiting for me at the end of the day. You are walking beside me through every second of it. There is so much I cannot predict. I do not know which conversations will stretch me or which interruptions become divine appointments. I do not know who will need encouragement or how you might use me in someone else's quiet prayer. But I do know this. I want to show up for all of it, not just the beautiful or easy or planned, but the messy, the unexpected, the holy moments disguised as ordinary ones. And I want to show up with peace, not pretense, with sincerity, not self-protection. Father, whisper into the spaces of my heart where doubt still lingers, in the corners where fear quietly builds a case against joy. Speak your truth louder. Help me resist the urge to micromanage the outcomes and instead be faithful in the offering, whether it is my time, my words, my kindness, or my silence. Let it be given freely, not anxiously. I trust that whatever I surrender to you multiplies, not always in visible ways, but always in eternal ones. There is power in carrying peace, Lord, not the absence of emotion, but the presence of something stronger. Let me be a carrier of that peace today. Let my presence calm storms, not stir them. Let my spirit be light enough to lift others, not burdened by the weight of control. Let my heart beat in time with grace, not with anxiety. I know the world is loud. I know it tries to steal stillness with every turn. But you are louder still, and you speak not with volume, but with truth. So I lean in now, to that quiet whisper, the one that tells me I am safe, I am held, I am sent, not into perfection, but into purpose, not with guarantees, but with guidance. The kind that does not show me the full road, but offers enough light for the next step. And with that, I rise, not to strive, but to stay close, not to achieve, but to abide, not to impress, but to reflect the peace that has met me in the dawn and promises to stay through dusk. Let me walk with eyes soft to wonder and ears open to need. Let me move gently in a world that rushes and love deeply in places that are shallow. Let me pour from a cup that you alone keep full. And if by the end of this day I am emptied out again, I will return here tomorrow with hands open, heart expectant, and peace intact, not because everything went smoothly, but because I never walked alone. Lord, as I breathe in this final stretch of stillness, I feel the weight of everything you have poured into these quiet moments. From the very first whisper at dawn to the echoes of grace unfolding through each prayer. You have been the rhythm beneath every breath. You have been the warmth in the chill, the calm in the unknown, the quiet when the world roared. I do not reach the end of this prayer with closure, but with deeper openness. This is not a finish. It is a continuation, a current, not a conclusion. Each day, you have patiently invited me into the sanctuary of your presence. Not demanding, but gently drawing me in. You have not required perfection, only permission for you to shape the inner spaces of my soul. Permission for peace to dwell where worry once ruled. And now, as this journey of spoken surrender finds its soft exhale, I do not walk away. I lean closer. I understand more deeply that this is not a time I visit and leave behind. It is a way of being, a way of living, a way of loving from the inside out. Father, what you have grown in these sacred pauses is not a momentary feeling, but a quiet transformation. My heart has stretched to hold more patience. My spirit is quieted enough to hear things I used to miss. My gaze has softened to see people with more compassion, including myself, and perhaps most precious of all, I have learned to see you not as a distant power, but as a present friend, a steady hand, a consistent comfort. You are not the end of my journey. You are the way through it. So I ask for this last offering to settle gently, like do no rush, no pressure, no striving. Just presence. Let the calm I carry not be extinguished by the noise ahead, but grow stronger in it. Let it not shrink in adversity, but rise within it. Let it not fade when I walk into chaos, but anchor me deeper. Because peace that comes from you is not fragile. It is not circumstantial. It is not wishful thinking. It is rooted. It is grounded. It is fierce in its gentleness, like a stream that wears down stone, not by force, but by constancy. Let me keep choosing stillness, not because I seek escape, but because I seek clarity. Let me keep returning to you not because I am broken, but because I am beloved. Let me keep trusting the process, even when it is slow, because I know you do your best work in the slow. You are not in a hurry to fix what needs to be healed slowly. You are not rushing me to a perfect version of myself. You are walking with me as I become whole, piece by honest piece. Even now, as I sit in this tender closing, I feel the invitation to begin again, not tomorrow, but today, in this breath, to carry this peace into my work, my relationships, my decisions, my waiting. Let it not live only in words, but in actions. Let it echo in how I pause before reacting, how I speak when no one is watching, how I carry kindness without condition. Let it be seen in how I forgive before I am asked, in how I create space for others to be fully themselves without fear of rejection. You are teaching me to walk slowly through hurried places, to speak softly in loud rooms, to listen deeply in shallow conversations, to live meaningfully in a distracted world. This is the fruit of your presence, not grand gestures, but simple consistencies, small moments bathed in intention, simple prayers whispered into the ordinary, gentle courage that shows up in the unnoticed corners of life. Thank you for each listener who has come this far, for each heart that stayed, each soul that leaned in. Thank you for every quiet transformation you have begun in the unseen places. but believe that every time we choose to pause with you, something eternal is planted, even if it takes time to bloom. So to the one listening now, I see you. I honor your courage. The path ahead may be uncertain, but the one who walks with you is not. You are not walking alone. You never were. If your heart has been moved during this journey, let it speak. Leave your prayer below. Share what stirred your spirit, what brought tears, what lifted your burdens. This space is more than just a video. It is a gathering place for souls seeking more, a quiet community, held together not by noise, but by need. And if you found value here, if you felt peace in this place, I invite you to share this video with someone who might need the same. Let peace ripple outward, one heart at a time. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if this prayer has met you where you are. Come back tomorrow, and the next day, and the one after that, not out of obligation, but out of desire. Desire to live intentionally, to start each day with depth, not distraction, to keep choosing faith over fear, hope over cynicism, presence over pressure. These words will always be here, waiting like a doorway you can return to as many times as you need. And as we end this chapter, not with finality but with forward motion, may you feel something settle gently over your shoulders, not a weight, but a covering, like a shawl of peace wrapped around your heart, like the hush of morning lights spilling quietly through a window, like a breeze that carries no announcement but changes the whole feel of a room. That is the presence of the one who goes with you. Let it stay, let it lead, let it whisper softly, again and again. You are not alone.